And we're back. 5:40 is the time. Let's get straight over to the traffic center. We've been following a couple incidences this morning. The hot spot that never was, for instance, on Interstate 80. Good morning, George.
Well, it isn't any longer, James. It was 580 westbound at the 80 merge in Richmond, where the CHP had for a while been closing down lanes of the freeway, running traffic brakes in order to look for spent casings in a reported shooting that originated with the Richmond Police Department in the 4 o'clock hour. This was the area affected. It is now completely clear. The freeway is wide open. In fact, shore commute either along the peninsula or through the South Bay. James?
All right, George, thank you very much. 5:42 the time now. Another developing story for you this morning. 3 Americans being held in Iran right now, 2 of them from the Bay Area. All 3 were on a trip. Basically, they were hiking in the Iraqi mountains and accidentally wandered into Iran. 2 of the people, as we said, were from the Bay Area. KRON 4's Holly Jewson now gives us a look at the situation, which is becoming more tense by the minute.
31-year-old Sarah Short of Oakland and Shane Bauer, who graduated from UC Berkeley, are 2 of the 3 Americans that are being detained in Iran who have ties to the Bay Area. The 3rd American is Joshua Fatal, an environmental worker from Oregon. Reports say the 3 were hiking along the northern Iraq border and crossed into Iran, where they were surrounded and arrested on Saturday. Iranian authorities say they have detained the 3 hikers because they entered the country without legal permission. Reports say the 3 Americans left their hotel and were hiking in the nearby mountains and wandered into Iranian territory. Short of Oakland is a writer and teacher who is currently based in the Middle East. She has written articles for the Matador Pulse. On the website, you can see they have her picture posted and comments about her arrest. Shane Bauer speaks fluent Arabic and is a correspondent for New America Media. He has written for the San Francisco Chronicle and several other newspapers. He graduated with honors from Berkeley with a degree in peace and conflict studies. U.S. national security says it fears Iran could soon portray the Americans as spies to use them as bargaining chips. KRON 4 contacted a colleague of Shane Bauer. She told us the government has asked her not to comment on the situation at this time. Holly Jewson, KRON 4 News.
All right, now we've got a picture of the 4th companion who was with the Americans when they were arrested. This, of course, is Sean McPhelson. He was traveling with the other 3 Americans, but decided to sit out that mountain hike because he had a cold. So he stayed back to nurse that. He spoke by phone to his grandmother, who lives in Sacramento. She said that he told her his friends called him right before they were captured. In fact, they told him they'd accidentally wandered into Iran and were surrounded at that moment by troops. Sean is being housed right now in the American Embassy in Baghdad. Meanwhile, the incident, of course, brings to mind those 2 local journalists who were arrested in North Korea. We're talking about Laura Ling and Yuna Lee. Both, of course, work for Al Gore's Current TV that's based in San Francisco. They were captured in March and later sentenced to 12 years of hard labor for what the North Korean court called hostile acts. They crossed the border into North Korea while on a reporting assignment in China. The U.S. says it is still trying to persuade North Korea to release both of these women. Now on to some headlines around the Bay this morning. Sheriff's deputies say a man shot and killed his wife before shooting himself. It happened in unincorporated Contra Costa County near Richmond on Saturday. At last word, the 46-year-old man was in critical condition. Authorities say they got the call from the couple's 17-year-old son, saying that his father had pulled a gun on his mother. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The boy was not injured. He's staying with relatives. And a San Jose soccer coach will be in court today. You see his picture there, 75-year-old Thomas Anderson, accused of inappropriately touching a child. Police arrested him last Friday at a pro soccer game. Anderson worked security for 2 different teams, and at a game earlier this month, 2 witnesses say he was acting inappropriately with a child. Anderson now charged with 8 counts of lewd or lascivious acts on a child under 14. Police are asking anyone with more information on this case to give them a call. All right, at 5:45, we've got to take another look at weather this morning. Evelyn Taft standing by with a look at your Monday morning forecast and see how conditions will stay unseasonably cool throughout the week. Good morning, Ev.
Good morning, James. Not many changes in the forecast, dealing with that fog and that drizzle again around the bay and at the coast, but warmer, warming it up just a touch with a little more sunshine into the weekend. James?
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Now to a headline out of the East Bay. Oakland police dealing with an officer-involved shooting this morning. It happened Saturday night, and this is video of the crime scene. It was a female officer who was involved. She was confronted by a man who was wielding a hatchet. Again, he was shot, later died at the hospital. This, of course, is now the 4th officer-involved shooting in Oakland so far this year. Last year, there were 11. KRON 4's Dahlin has more now on what happened this weekend.
Police cars quickly surrounded this East Oakland liquor store Saturday night. A female police officer had just shot a man inside. This is video of paramedics taking him to an ambulance. Investigators believe this man, Brownie Polk, threatened the officer with a hatchet. His family doesn't know why he had a hatchet with him, but they say he was a handyman and always kept tools with him. They're outraged that a cop killed him, calling it a murder.
My family is grief-stricken. We're in disbelief. We can't understand what happened because we know what type of person that my uncle was.
His niece says Brownie was a regular at the store since he lived about a block away. Friends say he was harmless. They feel the officer should have used a taser instead of a gun.
Taser can miss. You have to have both prongs hit that person to be effective. And sometimes even if we do get both prongs on that person, they're not effective. So when you have a life and death situation, we're going to meet it with lethal force.
Police say Brownie was causing problems in the store around 9 o'clock. They say a store worker flagged down the officer who was in the area. A store clerk saw what happened. He doesn't want to go on camera, but he was telling me the officer asked Brownie to drop his hatchet. He says Brownie wouldn't comply and kept walking toward the officer. He says the female officer kept walking backward away from Brownie. He says the other customers inside the store were telling Brownie to do the same thing, drop the hatchet. Apparently he didn't. And once he got too close to the officer, the clerk says she fired 4 shots. The shooting was caught on camera. Investigators say the video backs up the officer's story. The police department plans to release a picture of the hatchet on Monday. In Oakland, Dahlin, KRON 4 News.
All right, 5:50 is the time. We've got to take another break here, but we'll be back with more in just a moment. And as we do go to break, we'll give you a couple live pictures here. First off, the San Mateo Bridge. The traffic moving just fine. Those taillights headed westbound on 992 there across the span. So far, so good. We've got another shot for you, too. We'll bring you a live picture from 680 in Walnut Creek, where the traffic northbound on 680, those headlights, as you can see, snaking back and forth across the screen there, moving without a problem. Traffic out of the San Ramon Valley into Walnut Creek moving A-OK. We'll be right back. And welcome back. 5:53 is the time. A quick look at your 7-day forecast this morning. And, well, going to be unseasonably cool, at least for the next week ahead. You can see it there. Inland, you're looking at low 80s for the better part of the next 7 days. If you live along the bay, you've got upper 60s, low 70s, your highs for the next 5, 6, 7 days ahead as well. And if you live along the coast, you won't get any higher than the low 60s. As we make our way through this work week, we'll get a full look at the forecast and more on these unseasonably cool temperatures with Evelyn Tapp coming up at the top of the hour. All right, a couple of other stories are following for you new this morning. Just to let you know the latest with O.J. Simpson, he and his lawyers are going to be fighting today to try and get him out of jail a little bit sooner. He's, of course, serving a 9 to 33-year prison sentence at the moment for being found guilty of kidnapping and assault with a deadly weapon back in September of 2007 when he had that confrontation with those 2 sports memorabilia dealers in Vegas. His lawyers are going to be in court today asking a judge to see if he can't let him out a little bit sooner. We'll let you know if that happens. And also this morning we're following a story out of Miami, and we'll have more on this coming up in a minute, but we just want to let you know that dozens of people were hurt when a Continental Airlines jet hit some serious turbulence. They were on a flight from Brazil to Texas. It, in fact, was so bad the plane had to make an emergency landing in Miami. And do you see that food cart that they normally use to transport those carts of drinks and food in and out of the back of the airplane? That's what they had to use to get the people out. Some of them they could barely walk. One guy we saw had to be taken out in a stretcher on that thing. That's how bad the injuries were. We're going to get a closer look at this coming up in our 6 o'clock hour. And we're also following the latest out of Hollywood this morning. Your weekend box office results are in, and funny people laughing all the way to the bank this morning. Almost $23.5 million brought in over the weekend. That's Adam Sandler's newest movie. Harry Potter still holding on to second place. $17.7 million brought in there. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And in third position, G-Force. Last weekend's top movie has slipped to third, a little more than $17 million taken in by that Funny movie. Lots of kids love that movie. All right, 5:56 is the time. We've got to take another break, though. We'll be back with more in just a moment, so stay with us for that. We've got a couple cameras here to show you on our way to commercial. First off, our roof cameras still showing you fog in the city and everywhere else along the coast as well. We'll get a full look at how that fog's going to affect your temperatures today. Another shot here of the Bay Bridge approach. Westbound 80, cars moving towards the toll gates and moving through them without too many problems. You see those cash lanes, though, beginning to back up just a bit, but not bad. And one last shot from the Golden Gate Bridge. Commuters from the North Bay moving into San Francisco without too many problems either. Not as much fog at the gate as we have seen in the past, but we'll see where that fog is moving to. Evelyn Taft will be with us, and Fog Tracker and all that good stuff coming up in just a bit. Stay with us.